I hope we're not live because I just shoved sandwich in my mouth.
I think we are. We are often naked together in the mornings
That's true.
via selfie. Andy and I take our ugly selfies in the morning and send them to each other very often. So,
Cheri, have I got the genitals for you?
if you've got an itch, Andy Vargo will scratch it. Welcome to Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy. I'm Cheri Hardman.
I'm Andy Vargo.
And we are discussing things with our own special brand of scrutiny. We weren't here last week, so we've got 2 weeks worth of stuff to catch up on.
We do, which means we have a lot to get through in the next hour, but we have a list.
We do. All right, where are we gonna? Let's start with what we have going on right now, so that people will always know.
Yes, people should always know. Cheri, what do you have other? I mean, I know you probably want to talk about this a little bit later, but you got the big contest going on. What else? What you got going?
Sunday, the 20th, live Rude Girls at Tacoma Comedy Club. I'm hosting. We've got Trista Bloom. I don't want to miss anybody. I want to forget to say anybody. Trista Bloom, Courtney Bird, Kayla Marie, Lisa Wallen, and Monica Nevi. So very talented, people with vaginas. So
that is going to be a fun show. Those are some very funny ladies. So
that will be good. And then, July 3rd, I'll be in the finals at Nate Jackson Super Funny Comedy Club. Funniest MF out there.
That's the 3rd. I wasn't sure what day it was. Okay, that's
and I have some other shows in between, but right now we'll just do the one that I just, and then the next one, and then next week we'll talk about the next one upcoming.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, what do you have going on?
The next show that I have is out of Cole Street Brewing. I'm hosting that show, and that is the first Wednesday of the month, July 7th. Excited about that. That's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. And I've got just the regular old podcast thing going on, and I got all that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting up heavy petting again, because now I can do it in person again.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a comedian in the Seattle, Tacoma area, and you have a pet that has not been on heavy petting yet, let me know and let's get you on. So I kind of it's kind of been on hiatus, so I'd like to get back to it. Mm-hmm. All right.
That's fun. Heavy petting is a fun show, and it's neat because for me, I know some of these comedians, but I don't always know their pets. And sometimes you don't even know if they have a pet, depending on how much. Some people really post a lot with their animals, so sometimes you already know, but sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't know that they had a pet lizard or whatever.
You see a different side of people.
Mm-hmm. It's very fun.
All right.
So what's on our list today? I know that we want to talk about kind of those non-negotiables. I have my Mr. Right list that I opened up here, so I can have that.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about pet peeves in social media.
Yes.
And then, of course, your vacation and my contest. So
that sounds like a lot to keep us busy for the next 45 minutes to hour here, which always flies by.
It does. Time when I'm with you always flies by.
Aww.
It's always fun.
I just like that you're rocking back and forth because I
know.
Feel like
I watch every episode. I have a habit of doing that.
It's soothing. I just feel like I just want to lay my head on your bosom.
I just like doing it. I try to stop, and then I think,
you go forward, I'll go sideways. Will really mess with people.
Or we could just go opposite and go, like those clickety clackers. Wait.
Right. Yeah, we just need the sound effects. You know what? My studio where I'm at, the floor is just slightly rolled enough that I'll roll up during Zoom videos, and then I'll just start slowly rolling backwards, and then I roll up again. So I try to find just the right spot.
So how was your vacation?
It was amazing. I'm getting better at this vacation thing. So for those of you who don't know, I last week I was on a road trip. I left here from Tacoma and I drove to Montana, and I spent the week with an amazing woman and friend of mine and her family over in Helena, and got to hike and kayak and just really kind of just getting away from waking up in the morning and having the rush of things that you need to do. That was so therapeutic. I barely did any work while I was gone. I had a couple different things that I did need to follow up on. So there was a couple times where I just logged in really quick and made sure some things were moving along. But for the most part, I didn't do the thing where I said, you know what, I've got to sit down and write for 2 hours today or any of that. So, and being in a different environment, even if you just go a couple towns away, you don't have to go necessarily 10 hours away, but being in an environment where things are different, you're not at your usual places and you're not going to run into the normal people, then it kind of, it nurtures that. So it was fun.
Yeah, I know that is great. Like I never do that kind of stuff. It seems I was happy for you that you were out there doing that, getting out of the rat race for a little while.
Yeah, it felt good. And I came back through Spokane because my nephew got married on Saturday. So that was a fun weekend. I still have not recovered my voice from a little bit of partying. There may have been some alcohol involved a couple nights in a row.
There was definitely some cackling going on.
Well, here's what happened. So there was a guy with shots. My nephew's new bride is Serbian, and so they have this traditional shots that are kind of like a Serbian moonshine. It's called Reiki, I think. So he had a canteen of that, and he was walking around just welcoming people to the wedding. And then I went up to the bar area, and they had just all sorts of concoctions you could make. But I put some tequila in my glass, which I don't normally drink tequila. And then I added the mixer to make the margarita mix. And then found out it was a pre-mixed, like ready to drink mixer.
So it already had alcohol in it.
So that was really the only drink I had all night long, other than the shots. And then when it was time to say goodbye, people were doing shots again. So I had a couple nightcaps, but I was feeling better than I expected to feel that night, and worse than I expected to feel the next day, but it was fine.
Oh, good. That sounds like fun.
But it was a really fun vacation.
I knew that when you got on Facebook and said that you loved everybody or something like that, I'm like, oh yeah, he's drunk.
Yes. Your immediate response is, oh my God, you're drunk, aren't you? I didn't go live though, so y'all.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Did you like kiss anybody or anything weird like that? Okay, he did. Did you at least come home with your own shirt this time?
Yes, I had my own shirt this time. I didn't actually kiss anybody, but I do get very friendly when I drink, which I'm a social drunk.
Yeah.
I'm social anyway.
Me too. And by the way, it's the last day of school. I always celebrate the last day of school by going to the hitching post for karaoke. So
are you doing that?
I might be driving my drunken scooter down there tonight. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's so close. You could just take the scooter right there.
I have done that before, because then I could just drive home and, not really be driving home. I mean, I know you can still get a DUI on a scooter, but what are your chances, really?
Well, at least with that, you're more likely to only hurt yourself, if anything.
Because I'll be on the sidewalk. Yeah, it's like, So,
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Okay.
Karaoke. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I have a list. I keep it on my phone and I just look at it.
Yeah, I have a list.
I used to always do I Love Rock and Roll, but it's just too easy. So I like Learn to Fly by Foo Fighters. That's one that I like to do.
Okay.
So, yeah, whatever. Depends on how drunk I am. If I get drunk enough, I'll do Fat Bottom Girls.
Okay. So, Didn't you do that one on your birthday? Somebody sang that recently.
On my birthday, it wasn't me, no.
Who sang it? I think that night somebody sang that.
Huh. Must have been after I left.
Maybe, sorry.
Remember, I was like a lightweight that night.
Yes, it was a full weekend. So there's that. And how about your contest?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, we had the The mayor of Tacoma was one of the judges.
All right.
And a 28th District Washington State Senator was one of the judges.
Okay.
And the other one was, I don't know who it was. I'm not sure.
I knew they were going to have a mystery judge. I thought they would tell you that night, though.
That we know who the mystery judge, and we know when the mystery judge is going to be there, which I'll tell that in a minute. But let's see. It was $1 Million Mentor and Love Relationships Coach, which I think is Nate's sister, was the other judge.
Oh, okay.
It was 3 women. And,
fun, which, the other night when you were there, it was 3 men. So it's kind of nice to have it turned around.
But what was nice was that I got props about, like there's something I'm really actually trying to say with my comedy, and they totally got what I was trying to say. And so that made me feel really good. Like they really saw me and what my goal was. And so I almost could cry right now just saying that.
Aww.
So it was nice to be recognized. I went up to the song Super Freak. They said it was very nice that I gave them just a heads up of what was about to happen, So it was good. And so it will be me, Bobby Higley, Ashley Russian, and Genesis Newsome are the first 4 that will be going on to the finals. We have 2 more weeks of semifinals.
So there'll be about 12 total.
Yeah.
Are they taking 4 each week-ish? Something like that.
I think so. They were only going to take 3 last night, and then they took 4. So I think it kind of depends on
maybe
what Nate decides, But on the 30th, I'm pretty sure that one of the one of the judges, there we go, I finally got it. One of the judges is going to be Macklemore. So he actually did say his name last night. And so that'll be exciting. That's not Macklemore, but anyway.
It's not? Oh. Too bad with knowing who does what.
So
this is why I can't meet famous people, because I can't kiss up. I'm like, oh, I loved you in that show. Like, I'm not even an actor. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting. And it's like, the next couple of weeks, there are some pretty heavy hitters on the list. So if nothing else, the finals is going to be a great show on the 3rd. I would recommend getting tickets for that. So there's that.
Very exciting. So
how do you want to do it? You want to do non-negotiables last? Or do you want to do it next?
We can do it next. I got it open here on my phone. And we've been talking about this relationship stuff, right? And I've been chatting with some people, like I always am, and talking to people that aren't talking to me and all that. It's like, how it goes when you're single and you're considering dating and you don't know how hard you should try. But a couple years back, I had somebody ask what was on my list of, the non-negotiables, or I call it my Mr. Right list. But it basically is that, like, these are the things that you really got to have. And you should have this anytime you're pursuing anything in life, right? Whether it's a job or, where you want to live. If you're buying a new house, you need to know, well, if there's a swamp in the backyard, that's going to be a non-negotiable if I want my kids to play back there, or the dog to run around, or if there's, if there is no backyard, or if the backyard's too big and I can't keep up with the maintenance, then, the right thing isn't the right thing for everybody. So someone had said that they had their 12 things and they shared part of their list with me. And so I went through and I thought, okay, I had to put some thought into it. And what has happened is I started with a few things, and I feel like sometimes I feel like my life is an episode as one episode after another of Sex in the City, where it's like you try to date someone and you're like, oh no, I got to add this to the list. And oh, nope, I got to add this to the list. So did you have a non-negotiable list when you met Dave?
I did, but it was very different than the non-negotiable list I had when I started out.
Okay.
It changed very much over the years.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. Because based on where you're at in life and what you're learning, then you change things, right?
Right. So, like, for example, when I first started out with dating and that kind of stuff, or when I really decided that I wanted to get serious about somebody. I did have stuff on the list, like I wanted him to be tall, and I wanted him to be strong, and I wanted him to be handsome, and I wanted him to have a good job, and those kind of things I thought were non-negotiable. But after a 10-year relationship with a tall, strong man who made pretty good money, who didn't treat me very well, then I had to change my list.
Yeah, that makes sense, because a lot of times those things that we think are valuable, if they are not accompanied with the right other qualities, then they're not. Yeah. So would you like to hear my list? So the first thing on here, well, I should say, I don't really have this on my list, but it should be on my list, is that he's gay.
There we go.
Because sometimes
seems like a no-brainer, but yeah, no, that's very important, right?
It does, but after my last non-date, where I forgot to find that out first, I got to remember to check that box. But so my first one is has a good heart. And it's really just that they're caring, right? That I can get lost in a conversation with them. That's the next one. Because and that's come from, being on dates or talking to someone on the phone and just realizing that to me, communication is very important, and I talk a lot, and I need someone who can at least contribute. I don't want to be rambling all the time. I added this one, that I must turn his head. And not that like he has to drop his books and like get in a car accident when I walk by, but if I'm begging for attention from somebody and like I'm trying to do all the work to make that happen, they have to find me just as attractive as I find them. So that they're fun to spend time with. That they're not too stuck on a schedule and somewhat spontaneous, because that's kind of how my life is. Here's a fun one: masculine but not a bro.
All right.
And that's just kind of a character trait. Like, I like people on all sorts of the spectrum for different reasons and in different ways, but I tend to really click more with people that are just kind of in that range. And I put attractive face. And so that doesn't necessarily mean like, just kind of like they have a nice smile or something like along those lines. Like, I have to be able to look at them and not click. Not a snob about possessions. And I put in here, I wrote down, and this is one that I got from the person who gave me the idea of having a list. I put it must be in the same class, because I don't want either of us to feel unworthy based on where we're coming from, but we need to be somewhat in the same ballpark as far as where we're going to spend money and how much we're going to be spending and all that kind of stuff. We have to be at least somewhat within range. Of course, we have to be sexually compatible, so that, I guess, gay could be wrapped up into that. I want them to be pretty open-minded or center-minded when it comes to politics, because I don't deal well with either extreme. Has their own tribe. I had to add that one after dating someone, because if I'm dating someone and they don't have any of their own thing going on with family or friends, and they're expecting all of that to come from me, then it makes me wonder, when I'm 45, and if they're at this point in their life and don't have some people in their life already, then that to me is a little red flag. And then I had to add this one after the last person I tried to go on a few dates with. I said available and functional, because there are some people who I've started to have great conversations with, who clicked on a lot of the other boxes, and I find out that they're not quite done wrapping up their last thing that they've got to wrap up. And so that's important. And then I want them to be relatively mentally healthy or aware of any of their mental health issues, because I've been in a relationship in the past, long-term, that I wasn't, and neither was my partner, and that created a lot of things from both sides. So
got it.
So that is my, I don't know, is that too much to ask for?
I think that's a long list. And I'll tell you why I say that.
Okay.
All right. So I decided when I changed my list, I'm trying to find something for the next section that we're going on to, so I'm ready. But I found, and this worked for me, and it's not going to work for everyone, that what I really wanted was an essence of a person.
Mm.
You know, that I thought it was too nitpicky to try and, you know. So what I did was I noticed that my stepdad, who has since passed, I watched how he treated my mom, and I thought, that's the kind of guy I want. I want a man that treats me like Roy treats my mom. And he was the kind of guy that would always, you know, wouldn't let her carry a bag. If she had a bag and he was standing there, he was going to take it from her.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to open a door for her. You know, if she needed anything, he was going to be there. And he was going to be there for her kids. You know, if somebody was out of gas or had a flat tire, there was no question that he was the one that you would call and he would show up.
Sounds like you're describing Dave.
Exactly. So when I met Dave and he was that kind of man, I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted in a man. So a lot of the maybe issues that you have on your list, we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to go out. He likes to stay home. I like to talk. He likes to talk about stuff I don't like to talk about. But, you know, I mean, we try. So some of our stuff doesn't exactly mesh. But when it comes to the soul and the heart of what I really wanted in a man, he's got it 100%.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I like how you kind of create that character of the person, because like I can picture, and that's where I've met some people where I look at some of these items and I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're not checking that box completely, but is it really a big deal if everything else is checked? Because part of the thing is when you have these checklists, you know, are you trying to find that unicorn that really doesn't exist, or are you just trying to get as close to it as possible? But then you've got to prioritize, well, which boxes matter. And if you have it the way you've described it, where it's really about how does the person present themselves, how do they come across, how do they treat people, then it really doesn't matter which boxes are checked. It's really just about how you feel.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, so it was good. And the other thing, this is like a little hint that I often give to people. Like, say sometimes you meet a guy and you don't think that he, like, you know, he's got all the things on the list, but you just, you know, you're not really sure if you're that attracted to him. You know, like, he's a great guy, he's got a good job, whatever, he's got all the things, but there's just that is missing. Then I say, okay, imagine his face having an orgasm. And if they like, if that's really where it is, because if they go, oh, then I'm like, you can't date him because you just can't.
No, that's an interesting perspective, because I think there are those moments, whether it's that or something else, that really tell you. Sometimes I think about, am I going to feel good introducing this person to my kids or my parents? And not caught up in the way of like my friends or my family has to approve who I'm with, but am I going to feel good about bringing them to my people? And whether that's my friends or my family, if I don't feel good about this person being part of my life, then that doesn't make sense. Like, you're kind of giving that ooh before that moment. Another thing, this is interesting. There was a point in my marriage when my wife had lost a lot of weight, and so we needed to shop for a new wedding ring. Never ended up getting one, which has probably saved some good money. But while we were shopping at one of the stores, she tried on a ring, and right away she went like this, and she looked at the jewelry case with the rest of the rings, and the saleswoman said, "Oh, that's not the one." And we looked at her and she said, well, she looked away. If it was the one, it would captivate you. And when you look away right away to keep shopping, then that's obviously not the one. And I've had that thought, like, I've remembered that quote a couple of times if I'm talking to a guy online, but I'm still willing to like look, like, I'm like, okay, well, he's obviously not got all of my attention if I'm still looking at who else is around.
Right.
So
can I tell a story about that? That's kind of made me think of that.
Yeah.
You know, the story about the last date that I went on before I decided that I was going to be exclusive with Dave. I already had this date planned. And actually, Dave and I were just booty calls. That's all it was. And I had a date with another guy, and I went, and I was going to meet Dave later after this date. The guy took me to a comedy club. He took me out to dinner. He bought me drinks. He brought me flowers. I mean, he did everything right. But all I could think of was that I could not wait for this date to end so I could go have sex with Dave. And that's when I knew
No,
I
that's when I
found
knew
my
that he was the
one.
one.
And yeah, and it was just like, might as well just hang it up with for the other guys. I never went on
Mhm.
another date again. So
Wow. That is funny because there is that kind of idea that if you can't take your mind off of something, I don't know, have you there's Sister Act 2. I don't know if you've watched those movies, but there's a line in there when Whoopi Goldberg is talking to, I think it's Brandy that's playing the kid in this movie, and the mom doesn't want the daughter to be in choir because it's a waste of time. You're never going to make it. And all the things that the parents who are squashing dreams say to the kids who have dreams are outside of the
right,
normal thing.
right.
And Whoopi Goldberg says something like, when you wake up and all you can think about is singing, and all day long all you can think about is singing, and you go to bed and you're still thinking about singing, then you are a singer. And that's kind of how that sounds. Like if you're on a date and all you can think about is Dave, and you're at the comedy club and all you're thinking about is Dave, then you're meant to be with Dave. And I think that sometimes our minds already know the answer that we're trying to rationally and logically figure out, and we just need to kind of stop trying to figure it out and just listen to what is being said within ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's hard. The dating scene it's really hard. So good luck to everybody who's looking.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I say that.
You are after a couple cocktails.
Yeah, I don't want to be looking. I keep telling myself I'm happy without looking, but then it's like it'd be nice sometimes to have a partner in life.
Yeah, I know. It's just not, it's not worth it to have the wrong partner. So,
and that is kind of where I'm at. Like I'm not willing to accept someone in that isn't the right person because I'm happy enough with life. It has to be someone that is willing enough, or that is awesome enough that I'm willing to make changes in my life for. So
right.
Or the
there's a lot of rearranging that has to happen to make room for somebody else in your life.
Mm-hmm. There is. So pet peeves.
Yeah, I thought about this because I find myself on social media a lot, and I find many things really irritate me. So I thought I'd ask some of our friends what their pet peeves were. So I want to know, what are your pet peeves?
My pet peeves on social media.
Yes.
So my number one, it would be being tagged in stuff that has nothing to do with me.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a big one, I would say. I usually just go on and remove the tag. But I get it every once in a while when people are trying to promote things. I would almost rather that they just comment, like, did you see this? Because when you're tagging someone in a post, it's putting it on that person's timeline, and everybody else sees that. That's it. To me, it almost becomes a less effective way to grow whatever you're trying to grow, because you're just trying to get everybody to see it, and I get that. But like I would rather get tagged in a comment after you do the post, and that way it's not showing up on my timeline, but I still make sure to see it. Right. That would be one. I know I have others. I'm trying to think. The vague posting kind of drives me crazy sometimes, when you have to, and sometimes it's not just, but the posts that make you have to Google stuff. Like you see a post and then you don't know if you should like it or anything, because you have to go actually Google that thing that's being talked about to know if you're agreeing with something or supporting something or not. But
I personally, I don't like stuff like vague booking where it's more like, oh, things are so horrible right now, and then nothing, and then people comment like, are you okay, and then they don't. It's just like that kind of like passive. It's not even passive aggressive, it's just, what's the word for it, whatever it is, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. And that makes me really lose a lot of respect for those people. And people that hold GoFundMe's for themselves can go fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. I don't like that either.
This is gonna be a fun list. Did we get? I saw you posted asking if people had their.
I'm looking at the list right now. So some people are nicer than me, and Oh, so when someone friend requests you and then unfriends you and then tries to
Oh, I
refriend
did
you.
see that. Yes. And then I'm thinking, how many times are you going to accept that friend request?
I know. I go back and forth on that because almost always when I go ahead and accept somebody back, I regret it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Especially if I don't
sometimes,
know why they unfriended me in the first place,
yeah.
you know.
Now, I have done this in the past. I don't always do this, but if someone unfriends me, I've been known to block them because I'm like, okay, if you don't want me in your life, then we'll make it easy. You don't need to have access to see my
Right.
stuff, so I'll block you.
Uh,
Um,
I have had people unfriend me and then want to hug me in public.
mm,
Because you can
yeah,
block, you can unfollow me, and if I just irritate you, if I talk a little too crass or whatever, you can unfollow me. That's fine. I get
mm-hmm.
it, but you don't want to like upset me. But if you're gonna totally unfriend me, that's you telling me I don't want to be your friend or have anything to do with you, and then you try to hug me in person. Yeah, don't even try.
Yeah, yeah, that's and I always hate when you find out kind of on accident that someone unfriended you, where you're like, you go to like comment or see something, or someone says, "Oh, did you see so and so?" It's like, "Oh, okay." Um, I do go in like on Facebook. I'll go in and make sure and look at who I'm following to make sure that I'm not following people, because sometimes if you get unfriended, you're still following that person's feed, and then you're following them thinking that you're still friends and you're not. So I will sometimes go in and look at who it shows that I'm following that I'm not friends with to make sure that I'm unfollowing any of those.
Yeah, I don't dive that deep. Um, People doesn't like random DMs from people they don't know.
Yeah, that's
You know,
understandable.
I think those are, but I think they're talking usually about the, kind of when they're hitting on you or they're not a real person or
Yeah, I remember
that
someone
kind of
in the
thing.
comments had said something about where someone just says "Hey" in the DMs, and
Right.
yeah, I've even tried to do this with my friends, in my IRL friends, my in real life friends, as the kids
Right.
say, where instead of saying, "Hey, are you busy tomorrow?" I'm trying to not set people up like that, and I'm trying to say, "Hey, are you busy tomorrow? I was thinking XYZ, or I was looking for," because I'm trying to be aware of, and it's kind of like that vague fit posting you were talking about, where
Right.
people put that thing out there to kind of, it's like entrapment of like, oh, I want to
Right.
be asked, or it's a solicitation. And so to be fair to people, I feel like saying, because sometimes it's like, well, are you busy tomorrow? And I say no, and they say, well, I was thinking about dinner, and I was like, well, I wasn't thinking I'd have dinner with you tomorrow, but now that you trapped me into saying I'm not busy, I have to come up with a
Right.
better excuse, like I
Or you
just
want to
stubbed my
help me
toe.
move tomorrow or something like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Depends on what
I've
it's
tried to be
for.
yeah, and I've tried to be aware of that with what I'm requesting of people when I'm reaching out. Um, but I don't always remember. But
Yeah.
so,
People will talk about reposting posts. So
oh
people
yeah,
don't like when people repost your post,
if they don't give you credit,
right?
yeah.
Or people also don't like it when they want to share like your meme or whatever, and you don't make it so that it can be
Oh
shared.
yeah, you have it friends only. But
Now
a lot of people,
I have a friend who wants you to take the picture, save it, and then repost it
mm,
so that she's not involved with your post at all.
oh gotcha. Yeah,
Right.
see, I know for people like you and I, we're happy when people are resharing our things because we're trying to get followers. And there
Mm-hmm.
are people though on Facebook who are purposely just trying to interact with their friends. So I can see both sides of that.
Right.
But I know, I think Ken mentioned when people take a screenshot of their post and then repost it as if it's their own. It's like, yeah, that's not really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I will take screenshots of memes and things that I'm sharing with people one-on-one, where it's like, hey, I saw this and it was funny, but not to take credit for it. It's always like,
Right.
hey, this was,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's like joke stealing territory, and
Yeah.
nobody likes that.
No, they don't.
And then they were talking about dirty deleting.
What's dirty deleting?
Dirty deleting. So we had a little discussion about this, but I think The best explanation about dirty deleting, let me find it, was if you delete a post before anyone responds to it, no harm, no foul. But if people have put a lot of effort into discussing it, and then you delete it, I don't think that's what it is. Well, this is the one. So you realize you haven't written you've written something, or you wish you hadn't written something. And so someone else responded by being an asshole about what you posted.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you go back and delete your part of it, and that just makes them look like a total
Oh,
asshole.
gotcha. Yeah, like especially in the comments thread where you delete just your comment and the original post is
Right.
there.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think we all have the right to take back something we said that we realize doesn't show us in the best light. And I think then the next person can also erase theirs. So I don't know that I have a problem with dirty deleting.
I have the opposite problem of dirty deleting that I just remembered is a big pet peeve of mine.
Oh, what?
And that is when you're having a private conversation with someone in DMs and people screenshot it and then share it publicly.
You and I do that to each other a lot.
Well, one-on-one is one thing, but I'm talking about, like when, and it's one thing if you are trying to make someone aware of a hazard. I think that's totally different. If it's like, hey, look out for this person, they're very predatory, and it's very obvious in the message. But when it's a disagreement, I don't think that's fair.
Oh,
or
yeah.
when you're
So
trying to
like
make someone look like an idiot, where you're just like, oh, look at this dumbass.
That
I
shows
think
you're a very untrustworthy person if you will share a private conversation publicly.
Yeah, it just makes me, it always makes me think, oh, I got to be really careful to my interactions with this person, because anything, if they don't like me on that day, it might get shared. So
yeah,
that's
for sure. Sharing missing persons posters without finding out for sure if the person is still missing.
Oh.
A lot of people, they'll post this like, oh, this person's missing, but it's from like 2 years ago.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like check up on stuff.
Yeah.
Don't just randomly repost things without knowing if they're true.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back now, because I know I've shared a couple of those over the years, but the 2 or 3 times that I've shared those, they've been people I've known directly involved. So that's where I've seen them.
Our good friend Steve Hammond doesn't like anything that says like only something percent of people will have the guts to repost this, or if you're a real friend, you're going to post this. I don't like those either.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Those are
friend
hard.
Blackmail. You cannot be my friend anymore.
Right. What was the other? Right when you were saying that, I started thinking, because it was something. Oh, the ones where, this is another pet peeve, is when people post something that is definitely controversial or edgy or kind of designed to be like, hey, I really think this about a thing. Don't dare argue with me on my feed. It's like, well, why are you saying it out here on social media if you don't want people to comment back, and then you're not going to take anybody's disagreement? So that's, I know there are times, because there are times where people take those disagreements too far that you don't need to necessarily do on someone's page, but that's a big one.
Well, I've had that happen to me and be irritated by it when I think I'm just making a comment about something in my life, and then someone out of the blue just comes to argue with me about it. I'm like, okay, I'm not asking for an argument here. Like, why are you coming? Because there's a certain person I had to block because all he ever did, he never said hello to me, never came, like I had no other interaction with me except to come start arguments with me on my page.
Oh yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah. So he had to go.
Yeah. Another one, I guess. Are we still going on pet peeves? Because apparently I have more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. It was something about, it was right along those lines. Darn it.
And when people like put Facebook statuses on and they're just annoying people, they should just shut up.
Certain people. What is super annoying is when people post their vacation status every 3
Oh, don't you
minutes.
hate that?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
going to Vegas in
what
4
an
days. Oh wait,
adventure
I'm not
sport.
even home from Vegas yet, and I'm going to start posting my countdown for my next Vegas trip, and
I
then
do that
tagging you
only.
in it.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
no, I know that some people will appreciate this though, and that's when you're posting a celebratory moment or something like that, and people promote their own thing on your page, and I've seen this on other things too, where it's um, like you'll post something, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, did you see my blog on this very thing last week or whatever?" And you're like, "Really?"
Yeah,
If you
that
think
goes
it's
along.
interesting, send it to me privately. Like, hey, I noticed you just posted this. You might be interested in this also. But
That goes right along with the people tagging you on their shows. Like if you're
yeah,
a comedian and then it's like they tag you every time they have a show, it's like, I don't need to know this or be involved with this.
yeah. It's all oh my gosh, we are on a major bitch fest here about social media.
But okay, so then let's say, what do we love about social media? Pet pictures. I love pictures of people's pets. I love that.
Do you?
Any
Okay.
animal posts at all are always a plus on my page.
Can I also say I just get annoyed with all the frames? Every time there's something, we all have to post our frame, and it's not so much the people, but that then Facebook's always like, add this frame, add this frame. And I'm like, I don't need to. But anyway, I'll positive. Wait, positive. Oh, I'm trying to think of something positive. No, actually, so what I love about social media is that I can stay connected to people that I don't necessarily have contact with all the time. And so, when I was pretty disconnected from the world, I didn't see pictures of my cousin's kids, and I didn't see, what my friends from high school were up to and all those kind of things. And so it's so cool to see people from all over the world doing just daily activities, and all of a sudden it's like, look at the flowers in my backyard, and look at the sunset in Milwaukee tonight, and look at the beer in Michigan, whatever it is. Like, people are posting
Mm-hmm.
things that people probably get annoyed with, but I think it's pretty cool because you're seeing a snapshot of someone else's day from all over the world and all sorts of cultures. And I've learned so much about things from, like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing, or that you'd celebrate in this way or that way. And
Right.
so,
Do you do much Instagram? I know you post on Instagram, but do you spend much time on there?
I do a little bit. I usually just see whatever the first few are that when I get on there. But some of the pictures that I see on Instagram are amazing.
They are, yeah. I
Yeah.
have a hard time with Instagram because I'm a word person. I like to
Mm-hmm.
talk. I like words. That's kind of why I spend more time on Facebook. But I noticed that, people of a certain age often don't even go to Facebook. And so
Yeah.
I got to try to remember to use that more for,
Yeah.
photos and.
Well, and there's like the Facebook world, the Instagram world. Now we've got the Snapchat world and the TikTokers, which I haven't even gotten to TikTok. I know you've got the TikTok thing going
Yeah,
on.
I haven't not posted in a while because I can't really figure out my lane on there.
Yeah.
I think
Someone told me,
I can only show people my boobs so many times, and so I think 3 was enough.
well, maybe you need to use different props or something. Like, today my boobs with a jack-o'-lantern, tomorrow my boobs with an Easter egg.
That's not a bad idea. So
um,
they all
I
have to be objects that are shaped like this, though, like a
right.
really long W.
Yeah. The golden art, the menu. Like, can you do a selfie upside down in front of McDonald's with the golden arches?
Hey, you know what? I got to tell you the dream that I had right before we came on here.
Okay.
I dreamed that I had a baby.
Okay.
And then I kind of forgot about it, and I just left it sitting in this room for a couple days. And then I went back in, and I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was dead, but it was still alive. And so I checked on it, and it was breathing, and I was like, okay, good. Seemed like it was a girl for some reason. And then I went back to it a couple days later, and it was like all kind of purple. I was like, oh my God, it's dead. And then I saw it was breathing, so I immediately went to breastfeed it. And I was breastfeeding it while I was driving my car. And then it started to look better, like it looked a lot more healthy. And for some reason, Jack Ballard was there. I don't know if you know Jack. He's a comedian. I haven't seen him in
That
years.
name sounds familiar, but I don't think
Yeah.
we're connected.
And he said something like, "Wow, look at all," like something about me breastfeeding. Um, so I think, I don't know. I'm leaving something that I need to pay
Are you
attention to.
are you worried that as you're getting big and growing in your comedy that you're neglecting something or something that needs to be nurtured? I mean, because not to go
Well,
straight to
maybe
comedy,
it's my kid. I don't know. Hey,
maybe.
Andrew, I guess we should. What I really think it is that I was thinking about this last night. While I'm working like on a contest, it's really hard for me to write new stuff because I'm so focused on
Yeah.
that. And so it's hard for me to kind of keep two things going at one time. So I have to sit something like my writing, my baby, and just let it sit there for a while and make sure it's still okay every now and then,
But when you came back, it wasn't dead.
Right.
So,
I just got to
yeah.
breastfeed it. So,
But that makes sense because I can relate to that just with the type of business that I'm in. I have coaching, I have speaking, I have comedy, I have writing, and then I have some day job gigs that I do to keep life going. And I constantly feel like I'm letting something go. And so you're always kind of just, spinning plates and trying to get them to go. And then all of a sudden, wait, no, this one's stopping. But there is that moment of, if I'm not nurturing one of those aspects, even within my own business, if I'm not writing a blog article, then that followership drops off. And then if I'm not keeping up with podcasting, and that starts to slow down, but I need new material. And if I'm not promoting myself, then I'm not getting coaching clients. And then so it's like everything's at the risk of dying. And it's just like, oh my God. So I understand that.
Just got to start breastfeeding it all, Andy. And by the way,
while I drive.
Speaking of followers,
I thought you were going to say speaking of breasts, because I was like,
we've reached over 1,000 views and listens.
Yes.
Yay!
Woo! We're excited.
I went balls to the wall. I'm like, we're gonna hit this 1,000 mark.
I know, that was exciting. I know, I feel like I was on vacation last week. I was looking because I wanted to pull something, have the confetti come down.
Oh, that'd be cool.
At the grocery next time when we get to 10,000, we're gonna have confetti. So so we just need all of you that have been watching to get 10 friends to watch, and then we'll be at 10,000 like by tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we can start making some money on our podcast too. So
and then we can hire a marketing assistant to promote us.
Yeah. So next week we're probably on. Shut up. I don't think there's anything really going on.
Speaking of dirty deleting.
I'm dirty deleting that for sure.
Next week. So next week I am excited because we are going to talk about something really cool. It's going to be fun. I would love to talk. Do you have a list you're getting ready to go on?
For next week?
Yeah. I'm going to throw something out there.
Yeah, okay. I got it ready. What?
I'd love to hear about first date ideas.
Oh, okay.
What are the best first date ideas that people have had, experiences, and maybe also the worst first date, like what not to do? And maybe those should be two in the same or two separate things, but.
Okay, and maybe I could talk about how to get your husband to ask you out on a date and actually take you somewhere.
I think that's a really good thing because I have a bike, but it's not an exercise bike. It actually goes places. So if y'all are following Cheri, you should know that joke. It's a good one. But
and now I'm off work. So I'm going to have a lot of free time. So we're going to have to get together and do some, business meetings or mimosas in the afternoon or something. I don't know.
Do some writing, some planning, some marketing. It's about time for us to do another sit down and catch up on goals.
Yeah. All right.
So, sweet.
All right. Well, it was good talking with you as always.
Yes, thank you. And as always, everybody, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. And
if you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, you can email us at Scrutiny with Andy and Cheri at gmail.com.
I think it's actually Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy at gmail.com.
God damn it, now I gotta delete that.
She was so focused on flipping me off. Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy at gmail.com for all of your ideas, topics, and comments that you want us to talk about and share in our next episodes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.